Could you please introduce
Yeah,
yourself?
I'm Dolores Hainer. I was born in Caribou, Maine, 4th February 1931, which makes me 91 years young with all knees. And I absolutely love the military. We moved to Bangor. It was during the Depression in the 30s because my father was a barber by trade, and there was going to the big city because there was more opportunity to raise a family. I had an older sister, Stella. She was 4 years older than me. She was the boss. And Nancy, my kid sister, was 2.5 years younger. She was the baby. And I'm the kid in the middle, plugging up the holes for myself. This was right in my sneakers. I didn't know I counted. My generation grew up. Shut your mouth, keep the peace. Don't make a ripple, and don't be sassy mouth. Wow, have things changed. When some of the kids, when I say this, I don't mean everyone. What they said to their parents, I would have been dead on the spot because my father wouldn't have tolerated that for 1 second, and he shouldn't have had to. We had too much respect. Because I knew how hard he had to work to put food on the table to get us dressed and give us an education. So there was respect there. And I think that's one of the most important things our generation knew about respect and responsibility. We grew up with that. And when I was 18, I went to the parochial schools, graduated from John Deck, class of 1949, which I loved. And I went home one day and told my father I was going to join the Army. He said, "You don't want to be a beautician?" I said, "No, I'm joining the Army." Well, I had no brothers, and Papa was very protective of us 3 girls. He was concerned that, well, he wasn't going to be there to look out for us, make sure everything was okay. Finally, he decided, okay, I convinced him in my own way. You had to sign papers. I wanted to go Navy, but I was too young. In 1949, you had to be 21. So down to the Army recruits. She saw us coming. My cousin Rosemary and I went together. And we went to base. We had been together since 3rd grade through high school, basic training. And then she ended up going to Germany, and I ended up going to Japan. So it was the people in the military that made it interesting for me. Like I say, I never knew how to express my emotions. You know, shut your mouth, keep the peace, and don't make a ripple, and don't be sassy mouth. Nobody ever asked me my opinion about anything. So I didn't know how to express my emotions. Not that I didn't feel, but I didn't know what the word was for that feeling. My vocabulary was happy and sad and kicked off. Oh boy, I knew kicked off. That's where it went. Gets to John Baptist and announced, "We want you to write an essay." I had no clue in God's name how to write an essay. And I didn't know how to tell her. I never was taught how to write an essay. So I copied this one down. Probably the most famous one in the whole world, God knows. 2 days later, she called me up to her desk. She said, "Dolores, have you ever heard of plagiarism?" I said, "No." Big fat zero. If I had known how to tell her, which was the problem, that I had never been taught to write an essay. Plus, in home, French is spoken in the house. I always answered in English. My father would say, "Papa, that way, you speak French, you." And I answered in English. I went to the school with the sisters at St. John's in Bangor. He was English, and I lived in a Jewish neighborhood, so I was hearing French, English, and Yiddish. All this stuff, nouns and pronouns and adjectives in your 3rd grade, 4th grade. I used to say I had to do it like that little girl did, and I did it, but I had no concept of what I just done. I had no understanding. That was all gibberish to me. So then, in high school, the military was the very first decision I ever made for myself. Other than that, I was told what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And no questions. Well, how do you express yourself and nobody asks you anything? Boy, things have changed for the better. Maybe not so much, but at least better than what I had went through. But I absolutely love the military. The leaders that were there were generous, they were kind, they were open and upfront. They encourage us to be the best we can be. Every kid has their own gift. Everybody's gift is different, as I tell the children when they come to the museum. Find out what your gift is and stand on that and become the best that you can be. You can be a typist, you can be a secretary, you can be a nurse, you can be a carpenter, you can work in the field, you can be a pilot, you can be anything you want to be, put your mind to it. But whatever it is, be the best that you can be. Because, you know, when you marry, you don't know if you're going to lose a husband, and you may become the breadwinner in the family. I married I had kids, but I had 5 living kids. What I invested in them, they have paid me back a million different ways that I ever imagined. They are the joy of my life. My youngest one, Andrew, turned 60 the 15th of November. At Thanksgiving, when we sit around the table, we talked about what we're grateful for. And I said, I wouldn't take $50 million for any one of my 5 living kids. He said, Mama, take the money. Andrew, I said, I can't buy with money the joy that you have shared with me. That's because it was given with respect and dignity. And you have proven me true. My oldest daughter taught French, Spanish, and English. Teaches a nurse practitioner at St. Joseph's. Dana's captain of his own ship. My Mark was sponsored by the Army to go to med school and became an Army doctor. He's a cardiologist, plus internal medicine. And my youngest one, Andrew, is in construction over in Portland. So with not too much money, they turned out pretty darn good. And I'm so proud of them. So be the best that you can be. You never know. You expand. What I experienced, good and bad, I had both in my life. I'm not sorry because I sustained what I had to do, and did what I had to do when I did it. And it made me stronger. And I'm independent, Shell. I want you to know that. I don't rely on anybody to do for me because I stood up and did what I had to do, and it made me stronger. So you'll be surprised what you can do when you really give yourself some thought about it. And I'm grateful. The kids I saw, my middle son, Mark, came home from, listen, yeah, I can't get. I went to Tacoma, Washington. How far away from Maine can you get? It's Washington State. And he brought his 10-year-old son that I had never seen in person. Oh my God, he was wonderful. He has one boy, 18, and the last time I saw the oldest boy, he was 5 years old. He's 18 now. He's going to, he is out going to college. Yes. Oh my God, where is it? Oh my God. Idaho. Boise, Idaho. That's where he's going to college. And I haven't seen him since he was 5 years old. He's 18 today.
Oh, wow.
Wonderful children. Oh, they take after their father. My son, Mark, was the one that, when I worked at St. Joe's, when I get home after 8 and 12-hour shifts, I had nothing left to give. I was spent. He was the little one that was sweeping the floor and wiping off the sideboard. And Mother's Day come. He said, Mom, I didn't have any money to buy you a Mother's Day card. I said, don't you worry about that, Mark. I said, you show me what you're feeling every single day that you live. That's the kind of kid he was. That's my family doctor. You know, my son is a doctor. Every one of the kids are wonderful. Very supportive. I don't get away with anything. I want you to know that. They're very protective. Yeah, but I've been independent. There's more to be said about that, too. I'm not one of these helpless ones that your husband's going to pass you a cup of coffee and you can't breathe until he says okay and all that kind of stuff. I'm grateful that I wouldn't change my life for anything, good or bad.
Would you describe how it was when you were departing for your training camp?
Oh, yeah, I absolutely love the leaders. You lead by example. That's what it was. And I loved them, and I didn't know how to tell them I did. We had Lieutenant Voss. I was Company G, 2nd Battalion, Camp Lee, Virginia, 1949, 10th of November, we left Bangor. The country was segregated at that time, so by the time you got to Ohio, half the town was colored, half the town was white, and I had never seen segregation. It didn't mean anything. I didn't even know what it was. You know, when I went to Bets, we'd go to the Y after the football game one Saturday night, and Bobby Nelson was a kid that went to Bangor High School. Come on, Bobby, let's dance. Now, he wasn't like going to dance with the other kids. And I had no issues with that. You know, I never thought of him that way. He was my friend. And that's how I thought of it, even in the Army. And, but the leaders were wonderful. They led by example, and what they taught me made me who I am today. And I'm so grateful. Because you know, not everybody has that chance. I would like to see both boys and girls serve 2 years. By all means, if you plan on going to college, go to college. Because you can't get away with just a high school education like I did. Because of the technology that means that. And I was a C student in school. I never considered myself a leader. I'm pretty picky who I follow. If they're Reagan Indians, I got a head of my own. That's me, okay? But I would have the one that went to the community college to learn the trade. Why did I become an LPN? That's who I was, the mother hen. What else would I be? And in the military, I became a medic. I became an Army Staff Sergeant medic doing the 3 War, and I loved what I was doing. I had one boy when I was stationed out bases, we had 13 weeks bases. Then we were assigned to go to Fort Sam Houston in San Antonio. The 3 War had broke out. I got there. I turned 19 when I graduated from basic, so I was a brand new 19. This was February 1950. The 3 War breaks out June 50, 25 June 50. And by December, we're getting the frostbite coming back from Korea. I had one boy who used to come into the clinic, and he said, "Del, you going down for coffee break?" And I said, "Sure." So down we went. Set him in a wheelchair with a little Afghan on his knees. And we did this 5 or 6 weeks. And the sad part is I don't remember his name or what state he was from, how many thousands have I had since then. And the last time I saw him, I heard the wheelchair coming, and when I looked up, I said, "I'll be right with you." And when I looked up, there was no blanket on his knees, and both feet were cut off at the ankles from frostbite. After I seen an American special, public television, Battle of Chosin, I understood where he had been. In North Korea, the American Marines, there was 14,000 Marines that had been trapped. There was at least 8,000 Army men. General MacArthur made the mistake that the Chinese wouldn't come out of Manchuria and raid North Korea. He was wrong. They did. There were horns and whistles and lights. You'd think it was the 4th of July with all the fireworks. The troops were outnumbered. The American troops outnumbered. American troops. 10 Chinese on 1 American. Navy or Army didn't make any difference. And they fought their rifles. They couldn't fire their rifle from here to that table. They had to use their guns like baseball bats to defend themselves. They were overrun. And then the Chinese had the bridge that connected Korea. North Korea was all mountains, and there was a big valley, and they had one bridge with the escape route. When the Chinese had blown up that bridge, and thank God for the Air Force, within the 2-week period, they brought all the equipment that they needed and dropped it down by parachute, and the combat engineers rebuilt the bridge. So that was their road back to safety. That winter in Korea, the troops had been sent over without adequate clothes for winter. You know, our winters here, that's what it was. The winter came, it became the worst winter in Korea in 100 years. 50 below zero. How do you smile on that? People froze to death. They get shot. They didn't bleed because everything was congealed. Troops had boots on. They had this layer like we have here, when you have a layer, when you're climbing a mountain, it absorbed the sweat. When 50 below zero, that sweat froze. It was like they were walking in their boots on ice. That's why they froze their feet. People lost their toes. They lost limbs. They lost fingers. And the doctors had, this is one that killed me because I've watched this movie over 20 times and I cry every time. The doctor had to make the choice. This one would never survive that 18 miles, between 8 and 18 miles to safety. So they injected him with morphine and set him aside to pass. He said, "That's the hardest thing I ever had to do in my life." He had no choice. The ones he knew stood a chance to survive, they were frozen. They took the clothes off the top of the ones that had passed, put them on the ones, and they stacked them like a cord of wood, 2, 3 deep, each one, to get as many bodies in that truck as they could to get them to safety. Because they went over the bridge and brought them to safety. Okay? So these are the things. When I was 19, I had no idea what that young man that lost his feet had something. I had no idea. I don't believe America did either. Because I certainly would have hollered if I had heard that. But, you know, and it isn't until now that I'm 90 that I'm getting the story that came out. You know, how many years you're going to wait till you hear it. And but it was an American experience, and I said, I'll never forget that. 3 Wars is fresh in my mind as if it happened yesterday. But I wouldn't trade my life for anything. I wouldn't trade my life. And I still pray for all of them that are there. And I said, I hope, and I asked Our Lady in heaven, I said it would take a huge, huge miracle if they could ever find the DNA Those that, the Marines that were left that had passed away, the ground was like concrete. You had to use bombs to blow it up and make a big trench there. And the American GIs took these dead bodies and put them in that hole, and then they took a bulldozer and buried them over. I said, if they can find the DNA from these bodies, and if there's relatives or cousins that are left, and they can find out who that person was, and bring him home to his own cemetery in his own hometown, I'm asking for a lot, but I'm still praying. I said, miracles do happen, and I would never ask for anything else in my life if that could happen, just to bring him home. You know, if that was one of my children, that's what I would want, you know. But I wouldn't trade my life for anything. I wouldn't go back. I wouldn't change one thing because it made me stronger.
How did you adapt to the military experience?
I was a wicked tomboy. I was a wicked tomboy. I had a black, it was quite an education for me. It was a culture shock to go from Maine to San Antonio in the country. All the states below Ohio, half a town was colored, half a town was white. I never saw that before. So I'm on the train. Me and I going in the train. We had our sandwich. Camp Lee was on the other side of Washington, D.C. Yeah, it was Petersburg, Virginia is where it was. And I said, I'm going to go back and see if there's a dining car on back. She said, I don't want to go. Go ahead. So I walked through several cars, and here's this big sign, colored. I looked, and there's a little colored woman. And I said, excuse me, can you tell me if there's a dining car on there? Well, that was the tail end of the line, and I didn't know it. And she looked at me, scared to death. Oh, my God, this white woman is talking to me. She put her head out the window, and the conductor turned right up, and he said, sorry, Mrs. I said, I know it. I started up as a dining car on there. He said, no, but the next stop, get off, get a sandwich, and bring it right back on the train, because it's only going to be here 10 minutes, and you don't want to be stuck there. If y'all left, they're going to take off whether you're on that train or not. So I came back, and I told Maria, I said, I don't know what I said, and I had no idea. You didn't talk to the colored thing. I never saw that before. We get to San Antonio. This is where I learned to be a medic. And the man used to tease me. Oh, my God. John, where are you from? I said, Maine. Where's that? I said, God, didn't you have geography in school? I've never been in Montana, but I got an idea where it's at. And they tease me all the time, you know. And the men were very protective to me. I stayed at Fort Sam 2 years, 50 and 51. Then I didn't think I'd ever get a chance to go overseas. Well, I was wrong. Come December, it'd be November. We was in not San Antonio, we was in San Francisco. And we were waiting for the ship to come. And all the kids come from all over the United States to fill the ship because we were going to Japan. So this one day was sitting at supper. One of the girls said, John, you want to go get a pizza? I said, pizza? What's that? She said, you don't know what a pizza is? I said, no. Tell me what it is. She said, well, it's a big black pancake, tomato sauce, cheese, pepperoni, meat, peppers, and onions. I said, oh, my God, it was wonderful. I said, well, when I get out of the army, I'm going to open a pizza shop. We never had pizza shops in Bangor. I never heard of such a thing. Well, so $79 a month wasn't going to buy any pizza shop, right? Because I thought when I get out, that's what I'm going to do, bring it home. And that's where the pizza shops come from. Kids eating in Italy or whatever country they came, back come the recipes from whatever country they was in, Greece, wherever. And that's where it comes. And I said, it was an experience. Like I said, it was a growing up time, absolutely a growing up time. And I found out who I was. And I counted, and I never knew that before. That's where it was. I knew. You grow up in the company of, this is another thing that's different in my time than today. Today, the men and women train together. My generation, you had one detachment of all white women, one detachment of hand-colored women, and one detachment of men. Today, they all train together. My day, they did. It was all separate. Like I say, I wouldn't change my life for anything. And like I say, I found out that I counted and I grew up. I absolutely loved it. And when I came home on vacation, I said, I've been in the Army probably, almost a year, just short of a year. And when my father saw that I was happy, then it was okay. But he wasn't going to be there to protect us. That's what it was. He was worried that I'd be in trouble and he wasn't going to be there. And I told him he was okay with it after that. Also, after spending 2 years in San Antonio, I can remember going to, yeah, this one day it was hot. San Antonio was 100 degrees for a month at a time. And we were stationed at Fort Sam, and this one day, oh my God, it was hot and blazes. And I don't burn. I turn it brown like a berry. Be in the backyard, writing letters and all this, you know. This one day, I said, mine of this little colored girl, we had 150 women. She was the only colored girl in our whole company. Let's go to Snake Hill. This is not down San Antonio. It's out in the country where the base is. Like you have the base and you have a road across the street, a little community that builds up. You have a corner drugstore, dry cleaners place, a little flower shop. Here's a little neighborhood bar. I never been in a bar. I'm 19. I said, what do you say we get out in Snake Hill, get a beer and a hot dog? So this is an experience for me. So awfully with softball team went in there, sitting down. And when the bartender saw that little colored girl, he knocked on the table and called me over. Real hateful. Is she colored? I said, God, she's as black as a stove. How black you gotta be before you're black? He said, I'm sorry, miss, I can't wait on her. And I didn't know why he said that. I said, well, you can't eat here. She was my friend. I didn't care what color she was. She was my friend. Well, go to the drugstore. We went to the drugstore. The clerk in the drugstore saw that little colored girl with the same face. He said, oh. Then I got ticked off. We walked across the street. I said, hell, we could have stayed at the service club. Same thing. We wanted to break from the base just for an hour to go and have something to eat. You know? And that night, I'm in my bunk. Miner was right across from me. She was 25. And she knew I didn't understand what segregation was. So that night, I'm sitting in my bed, and I was thinking to myself, Jesus, they should have told us if we went there, they wouldn't wait on us. And I didn't want to ask her because I would make her feel bad. And I didn't want to make her feel bad, so I didn't ask her. She would have gladly told me why segregation, and I didn't understand what segregation was. She was showing me firsthand, and I never asked her. And if I could see it now, I said, boy, were you teaching me a lesson? But because she was my friend, I didn't want to make her feel bad. That's how I was. You know, I wished I could see it today. I said, boy, were you teaching me a lesson, Marty? It was a growing up time, and that's what I mean. It was the people. It was absolutely people from all over. We had one little girl from California. She was a farmer. I said, oh, yeah, I'm a farmer, too. I'm an old kid. People from Maine. We had a big garden, corn and tomatoes and potatoes. We did it all. And we knew how to work. But I'm not sorry a bit. And she and I hit it off like I've known her forever. You know, a lot of these I still remember. And it doesn't make a difference if I hadn't seen you for 25 years. I remember the friendship that we had when we were together. And that doesn't fade away. You make memories to last forever. And that's part of my story. You made part of my story, you know? After 18 days of crossing the Pacific to get back to San Francisco, how was I going to get home? I chose not to fly. Not that I don't like to. I like to fly, all right. But I thought, that's home. Hey, I'm not coming back this way again. You know, this is... So I went to this bus stop. He had to make a ticket for every stop, and I was going from San Francisco through Arizona, New Mexico, down to Texas, because I had gifts that I had to give these kids in Texas. Come back, and I went to, where was she stationed? Lucky was stationed in, oh my God, I almost forgot. Anyways, my kid's sister was there. Hey, I had a box of tickets. She turned and she said, you sure you don't want to fly? It took me 2 days to make all the tickets up, get me back to Maine, you know. You sure you don't want to fly? No, it's okay, I'm never coming back this way that I know of, you know. But when I get home, I was absolutely lost. In the military, if one can't go swimming or to the movies or softball, there's 25 more bucks. So you always had a companion wherever you went. And I wasn't a drinker. I didn't spend my time in the beer parlor there. I was not a drinker. We stayed in the day room and we bought watermelon. Now, my generation, the only time we ever had watermelon was the 4th of July. That's what comes into mind. And I said, down there we'd buy a boatload of watermelon and go in the backyard. And we'd eat watermelon. Oh my God, it was wonderful. And I used to spit seeds over the railing. Pretty soon I got a little plant growing, and I'm babying that plant, watering it every day. And the army came and mowed it down. He didn't realize that I was growing a watermelon, you know. I said, oh my God. And I was so angry. I said, oh my God, here I am growing my own watermelon. It was the different things. We went swimming every day. Um, I used to babysit Phil Travis. He was an orthopedic surgeon, and his three little boys. Those were my kids, you know, and they were wonderful. I was the daughter they never had, so they were wonderful to me, you know, and I miss them. They He ended up going to Germany. Colonel Travis went to Germany. He also went to Japan, somewhere in Japan. And of course, I came back and had my family. When I came back, I was having a hard time adjusting because the kids that I knew in high school were married, had children of their own. And if they could get out one night a month, that was something, you know, because they had obligations bringing up their kids. So I kind of lost it. I got to digging in my mother's cupboards. It probably drove her crazy because I was looking for something to do. I'm a doer. To sit and do nothing. Hey, I was probably driving up for my crazy. And then my husband was down in Maine Maritime at the time. We had dated in high school, kid stuff. And if anybody told me in January, I get home the 31st of January, I know that's when I was discharged. Then I get home Valentine's Day. Yeah, because I went from California down to Texas. Yeah, it was Valentine's Day when I got home. And I knocked on the door. I get the taxi driver from the bus stop out by the Banger House. He let me off. He said, do you mind, the taxi driver said, do you mind if I drop off this passenger? I said, no, that's okay. So I came home and I got my mother a great big box of chocolates for Valentine's Day. So I knocked on the door, and she answered the door. She saw me. I said, have you got a cup of coffee for a bum? Where have you been? You've been waiting for 10 days. I went to the Red Cross looking for you. But I was visiting my sister, you know. Fort Sill, Oklahoma, that's where he was. And come out home on the bus. But it was an adjustment. And then my husband and I started dating together. If anybody told me I was going to get married in June, I would have told them they were crazy. Because that was not my intent. But he married, he graduated from Maine Maritime. Then he went shipping. So he was always gone. You know, we had probably 3 or 4 days at camp. And then he was gone on his voyage, you know. And he'd go 8 months and come home for 2 weeks. You know, it was long enough to make him leave. And then 13 days he was in a bar. But he was raised with men. And that's all he knew. Where was he comfortable with men? You know, all his lifetime. So I understood. But I have the best kids in the world. I wouldn't trade my kids for $50 million. My youngest one, Andrew, my oldest daughter taught French, Spanish, and English. Teresa's a nurse practitioner at St. Joe's. Dana's captain of his own ship. He has Amber, her, and Peter and their 4 children. Mark and Marlene is my doctor, Army doctor. They sponsored him. The Army sponsored him to go to med school. And he's a cardiologist, internal medicine. And he has 2 boys. We saw him on 4th of July this year. And his youngest son, Martin, is 10 years old and I never met him before in person. I've seen pictures. And his oldest boy, Marshall, is the one that's in Boise, Idaho. That's where he's going to college. And he's 18, and I haven't seen him since he was 5 years old. So there's a lot of separation there. But you're grateful when you do see him. He left last Wednesday to go back to Washington State. He works at Madigan Army Hospital in Washington State. And, yeah, oh my God, children are wonderful. You know, when I was in the 5th grade, and when the Second World War was coming, I'd see these war babies flying in the street, little dirty faces. I was a dreamer in the 5th grade. I was going to pick them all up and have an orphanage. I never thought about beds and clothes and bathtubs and food and all this stuff. I was just going to do it. So I was a dreamer way back then. But I've always loved children. I worked after we got married, worked for shipping. We divorced after 18 years because of alcoholism, and I wasn't happy about that. I wish things had been different, but it just didn't work out, that's all. And I'm not sorry I'm angry because I got the best kids walking. And I tease the kids. I said, the brains you get from your father. I said, you see that teacup of common sense? That's what you got from your mother. And my oldest son said, Mom, if you can raise 5 kids by yourself, you're not missing any marbles. I said, no, I wouldn't trade my life for anything. I'm glad that I had what I had when I had it. You know, so gratitude is everything. Attitude is everything. That's what I want the kids to remember. It's what you do. I sent a card to my son, that's the doctor. This year, it hit me just right. God's gift to you is who you are. Your gift back to Him is what you do with your life. I couldn't pass that card up. I said it all in a nutshell. I said, I wish I had said that, but I couldn't pass that card up. I mailed it to him. I said, Mom, that touched my heart when I read that. That's just exactly who you are, what you've done with your life. You're a giver, and you share what you have. That's all it takes. Kids want to be listened to. They want to be heard. They want to be respected. They want to be asked questions. They want things explained to, you know. And that's what I did with my children. St. Joe's, I went to work after I had divorced, reluctantly divorced. I went to St. Joe's, and Sister Augustine was the administrator, just before Sister Roberta. And she said, you know how to make donuts? I said, yeah. But you got to eat in the first 5 minutes or they turn into a hockey puck. I hope we could forget about that, huh? She got to laugh. She said, have you ever worked with the agent? I said, no, but I've had 6 kids. God, it can't be too much different. She said, I want you here at 8:30 tomorrow. Give me a chance to get my kids from Hamden to St. Mary's in Bangor and then get to St. Joseph's by 8:30. Then I worked an hour and a half on the end of the day shift, cover for supper. And then I got home, and my oldest daughter was the one that was there from school. So I had to work while the kids were in school to be safe in case of fire, evening and nighttime especially. So I was a day nurse, and I loved what I was doing. I worked there at St. Joe's for 30 years. Some of the best times of my life. But here again, it's people that you meet. Plus, I love the patients. Not only the patients, but I worked in pediatrics. I worked on both coronary primarily, and they cross-trained us to work on respiratory. But I preferred the cardiac patients over the respiratory ones. And I'm too quick sometimes to work with the respiratory ones, but they want me to turn pencil a quarter of an inch. I just said, just turn it. I said, Del, they can't breathe. Okay. And so I went back to the cardiac floor. That's where I stayed. In a pinch, I would pinch it, but I was too quick. You know, when you take your health for granted, you don't realize people are having difficulty. You know, God didn't hit me once and go, yeah, they can't breathe. I had to talk to myself. You know, I have to shut my mouth every once in a while, if you believe it. You know, try to be kind. Action is a magic word. You know, when I came here, I was asked to come. I'd rather be an hour early than 5 minutes late, so I always show up early. That's a work that my father taught me. I said, when I worked at St. Joseph's, and I said, there's 2 feet of snow, and I backed out of my yard. I looked up the street, down the street, I bumped out of my yard, backed up off the main road. If I get stuck in a snowbank, I had time to shovel out and still get to work on time. That's who I am. When you make a promise, you keep it. If you ask me to do something, Sean and me have both legs cut off. You can count on me to show up. If I can't do it, I'm going to tell you up front, I'm sorry, I wish I could help, but I this or that plan, whatever the appointment is, I have. But if I say I'm coming, you count on it. And that keeping your word is, I think Mr. Cole runs this museum, that was his motto. So if you make a promise, keep what you promise. When he promised God, when he was in the Second World War, that if he ever got home safe, he would leave his community better than he found it. And how he did that is he built this museum. Outstanding. The very best in the country on land transportation. They were given how many cars? 79 cars, whatever it was, before this building was even built, because they knew his reputation of being honest and open and upfront. That he has proven it. I've come to the museum for 25 years. I absolutely love children. Can't tell me having kids. wanting to have an orphanage. Oh yeah, that's me. I'm the mother hen from way back. And my grandmother, my mother's mother was a midwife. And that was a whole different time for back then. Way back in the turn of the 1900s, well, Papa was 1901 generation. My mother's generation was the 1920s. And I remember, I love the women in the 20s because just before the Depression, into the Depression, they never wasted anything. They all found, they all preserved whatever was coming. And that's where you teach your children what you know. You teach what your children you know. And your children, which my mother taught me, her mother, and my grandmother, I never knew, out of 4 grandparents, I never knew Papa's side of the family. His mother and father died either when I was an infant or before I was born. I have no memory. And my mother's father is the only one out of 4 that I knew. My memory was the midwife. She passed, like I say, when I was an infant or before I was born. I have no idea. She used to ride a little baby buggy. This time, delivered that new baby. Come home with 2 loaves of bread and 2 dozen eggs. She never charged him for anything. That was her joy. She never charged him anything. That's what it is when you're a country person. Maine people are known for that. They're not afraid to help each other. And I hope that doesn't pass because that's part of the charm of this state. We're hard workers. We're independent. Thank God. I don't want anybody hovering over me. That would drive me nuts. Absolutely nuts. That's just who I am. And everybody's entitled to their own opinion. I'm not trying to tell you how to live your life. But I wouldn't change my life for anything. And coming to this museum has been a blessing because it feels a big home. After I divorced, the Korean War veterans, we got together, and because of the pandemic, we hadn't seen each other for 2 years. And what a loss that is. And this past week, we got a letter knowing that we wanted what our address is. Now it has changed from before, and our telephone number. And hopefully this will become a monthly letter so that we can reconnect again. That's so important. I tend to keep to myself because I'm one that I don't want to know your personal business. I keep to myself. I'm a knitter. I'm not a card player. When you got to cheat to play fish, you're not a card player. Now I'm a plaster. I knit. That's what I do. And I talk to people here at the museum. You do what you love. And that's important. I said, we can't take anyone's vocation. And I tell them, we had the 1st of June, before school let out for the summer, we had kids. We had kids from Ellsworth, 8th graders. We had kids from Port Kent, 8th graders. We had kids from Madison over by Skowhegan in Maine. We had another class, I don't remember who they were. And I asked them if they want to be the 8th grade. Do you like to read? Shoulders up and down, didn't have a clue. And I always invite the teachers in to sit if they would like to. Then some want to go wander around, see if the kids behave and all that. But feel free. I said, what are you interested in? Baseball, basketball, hockey, soccer, football, skiing, climbing mountains, canoeing. Get a book in the library. The teacher will help you. She'll put the library and help you put the work. And I said, you won't put that book down. You can be anybody you want to be, or visit any country you want to be. You won't put that book down till you've read it all. That'll give you an idea. It's not too early. Start thinking about what you'd like to be. And you can change your mind 100 times. But I said, nobody can check what, pick for you what you want to be in your lifetime. But whatever you choose, make sure you love what you're doing because you're going to do it a long time. The teacher looked at me and, oh, yeah, you got that right. I said, yeah. So this is what it is. Find out what your gifts are. Everybody's gifts are different. Yours is different, yours is different, yours is different, yours is different. Pick out what you love and embellish on that and become the best that you can be. Because you'll share it with your children, whether you're a cook or a baker, if you sew, if you're a housekeeper, if you're a decorator. Share these with your children, nurses, teachers. I love teachers. Not only do they teach today, but they teach in the future. That's what I love. And what my leaders in the Army taught me, I'm passing on to my children. My first granddaughter was Heather McLaughlin. She was a Marine. She made the outstanding recruit for basic company. She made Lance Corporal on graduation, and that's rare because she was outstanding. She's still outstanding today. And her 2 daughters are following Mama's footsteps. Hey, no sassy mouth in that house. She says, well, Mama, maybe she said once in a while someone will slip out, but I said, yeah, that's all right. We all make a mistake once in a while. She's an absolute darling. And here again, it's the people I meet. It's the people I meet. Be respectful. When you give respect, you deserve respect back. And a coward is a bully. Why does he pick on somebody that's tender? You can have a sweet little kid that's respectful, and this big bully comes. I ain't gonna say in English what I'd call it. They say, Dad, what would you say if they did it to you? I said, you hit him right, you know where. And I said, that'll get his attention. Next time he's not going to be so apt to jump on you, and he knows you're going to fight back. Because you're being respectful doesn't mean you can't defend yourself if you've got a bully. That bully's nothing but a coward. You know, and they deserve to be stepped on. See how they like it. You give respect back. And I also tell the kids they're the very best of their mother and father. I said, learn from that. And I said, you know, time goes by, you teach your kids what you know yourself, whatever trade you are, carpenter, if you sail a boat, if you're a lobsterman, if you're a farmer, learn from that, and they'll teach their children. But I just, like I say, I wouldn't trade my life for anything. And you grow, and the military, who I am today, I absolutely give credit to my leaders. A leader has a huge responsibility, especially like kids like me. I never considered myself a follower, but I'm pretty darn fussy who I follow. There's a raving idiot, I got a head of my own. And I'm as balky as they come, I want you to know that. Oh yeah, I got my own faults, you bet. And it's just the idea that, you know, we owe this country so much. I would like to see both boys and girls serve 2 years, like Israel. If we have war, who knows, with Putin and all that he's doing, killing his own Russian people in the Ukraine, I pray for them every night. When they bomb a hospital with mothers delivering babies and infants, and that is like a war zone, it's flat right out, you know. Don't be afraid to help somebody. You know, on my street, it was that way it was. I mean, I don't want to know your business, what you sold your house for. That's none of my business. I used to have one neighbor who used to come and tell me everybody. She'd go house to house and tell me everybody's business. I don't need to know that. I said, what you do in your house, that's your business. I don't need to know that. I'd have to mention names. Anyways, if you need a cup of sugar, don't be afraid to come on, or I'll more than accommodate you. But other than that, I don't want to know your business. I want to know what cards you play with, charades, and that kind of stuff. Are you a crafter? When you've got a cheat to play fish, you're not a cowboy soccer crafter. But though I've had a good life, at 91, I still have my health. I tell them I'm 91 years young with old knees, and I'm not dead yet. The attitude is everything. You understand me? Attitude is everything. People can go around with a long face. They don't have to. It's a choice. You know, make your life what you want it to be. I'm not bored. I never was bored in my life. Imagine that. I'm not bored in my life. There's always something to do because I keep interested. I read, I write. Every once in a while, I'll write to the kids. When they come to visit the museum here, this is an experience too. I have them write their name. I write the date and the school they come from and their grade. And on occasion, I'll have kids write to me. And I usually have between 4 and 5 at the table. It wouldn't make any difference if there was 25. You still say the same thing. But I tell them all their gifts is different. And embellish on what you do. Make yourself the best you can be. And they'll write to me. And sometimes I'll write back to the school. And I'll especially mention the 5 that I taught. And acknowledge them and how much I enjoy them. So that's why I do it. And I've done it for 25 years. And then we had the COVID-19 come and it kind of put a kibosh on everything. But people are wonderful if you give them a chance. And those that you can't stand, I offer the supreme being to take care of them because I'm giving them back to them because It's a personality class, like we're like oil and water. Especially we don't meet because it ain't never gonna happen. You know, we're supposed to love everybody. You know, the song goes, a little Japanese man that comes to the beach house in where I live, and his two favorite words are thank you and I love you. He absolutely does. Tomiko, his wife, she plays the board. He's a classical musician. Half an hour plays classical music. I can't think as fast as he plays. And then he plays jazz. I said, Dishonorable, I don't know how old he is. He's younger than me for sure. And he's a darling, though. The both of them are darling. I said, play something that you have written yourself. Oh my God, that piano was just singing. I mean, oh my God. I said, you like to dance? Oh yeah. I said, it's right in there. You can tell. I said, oh my God, this man's amazing. He's played all over the world. He taught orchestras in New York City. He lived in New York when the towers were bombed. They had an apartment close by, so they moved to Bar Harbor. So the last 25 years they've lived in Bar Harbor. They've organized all these classical music down there and all over the state of Maine. They come to our house, probably several areas where they had the elderly. You know, I'm just a kid. I don't consider myself elderly. But it's okay. Attitude is everything. That's what I think. It's what you make it. It's what you make it. And I said, hey, if you want to go around the long base, you can, but you don't have to. I said, oh my God. And, you know, people are restricted by sickness. I can understand that. You know, some, they can't eat because they got a hiatal hernia. Some got a bellyache because they get something else wrong. I don't need to know everybody's sickness every single day that I go have breakfast. I mean, just get a life and do something, you know. But I said, one, she's a racket maker. Oh my God. The louder the better. Those hands that they get go. I said, well, that's okay. I said, make as loud as noise as you can, as loud as you can. But I don't have to listen to it, and I do about face, and I'm up the door. She says, where did she go? Hey, it ain't no fun making a lot of racket if nobody's listening, right? Example, do you think she got the message? Don't make any difference. I said, that's okay. Be who you are. But I don't have to listen to it. So there comes a time that you can walk away rather than be sassy mouth. Just said, you know, make your racket. Hey, if that's who you are, I've always been. I asked her one day, what do you get out of it? Well, I've always been this way. I said, Del, zip your mouth. Excuse me, girls. Have a good day. And out the door I go. I go, oh, my God. I said, whatever happened to, you know, another thing I want the kids to know is respect and responsibility. That's our generation growing up. And like I said, what some kids say to their parents, I said, I would have been dead on the spot. My father wouldn't have tolerated that 1 minute. Hard work all of his life. He gave and he gave. He's a giver, born giver. And I said, you know, I think that's what's missing. You know, be able to take pride in yourself, value who you are. That's why I want kids to value who they are. You don't let anybody walk on them. I said, that's so important. Value who you are. And attitude is everything, bar none. Attitude. You know, think about what you're doing. Think before you say something. You know, sassy mouth. Boy, my mother would shoot me right across. One thing I ever called my mother in my life, I called her Blackbird. Boy, she didn't put up with that 1 minute because I was being insulting. Right across the mouth. And I was sorry I did it, the minute I did it. But I didn't know how to tell her. Shut your mouth, keep your peace, don't make a ruffle, don't be sassy. And I went into the living room and I pawned through all the records. Before television, kids, they didn't believe it when I told them before television. I said, yeah, I'm an old duffer. You always hurt the one you love. And that's me trying to apologize to my mother because I didn't know how to tell her. And I played that record because she's in the kitchen. She heard. She knew what I was trying to do. Mother seemed to know that somehow. Later on, I told her, I said, you know, how much nicer it would have been if I could come and told you to your face that I made a mistake and I'm sorry. And next time I'll try to do better. It's a learning thing. I'm learning, you know. But I mean, and I'm sorry, and I was sorry. There's no doubt about it. But sometimes it just sneaks out, kids. So at least it wasn't a lot of cuss words. Too many cuss. I'm sorry, a black man. That's the worst thing I can think of. I literally vocabulary is worse.
Well, thank you